Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mbo Winding, and on this channel we talk about how to make money, spend it, save it, invest towards financial independence, while at the same time enjoying the money, right? Because no man no can here for suffer. But if you're brand new and you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll know whenever new videos are posted. I post videos bi-weekly on Saturdays. So yeah, go ahead now and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about professional development because whether you like it or not, for a lot of us, our jobs, our 9 to 5s, are our primary source of income. And so we're going to be talking about the very first stages of that, how to get a job. I know that this is the middle of a pandemic and the job market is a hot mess, for lack of a better way to say it. And so I decided to come on and talk about this so that you're positioning yourself better, right? So if you're having issues with, first of all, figuring out how or where to apply, or if you're interviewing and your interviews are not translating into positions, or if you're not getting interviews at all, this is the video for you. So be sure to keep watching and share with your family and friends that you think might benefit from it. So if there's nothing else, let's get started, right? So I think that the process of looking for a job has really three main components. The first one being exposure, and then really the application process, and then your interview. And there are many ways to fall through the cracks along that entire pipeline. So I'm going to be talking about tools that you can use for each of those steps to kind of make sure that you're going from the point where you decide, oh, I need to find a job, to actually getting an offer. And not just any offer, but definitely standing out amongst your peers and being able to get a reasonable offer with good benefits, a great salary, and really work conditions that work for you, right? Today we'll focus on the actual getting the job part. In the next video, I'll be talking about salary negotiations. So if this is of interest to you, be sure to stick around and look out for my next video. So with regard to exposure around what kind of work you should be looking for, what kind of companies you should apply for, what the process is, I've found there to be really three main sources of networks that you can use to get yourself that exposure, but also to be exposed to the kind of work that you'd be looking for. And the first one of this is amongst the people that you know, right? For a lot of us, we discount how much value we can get from our actual networks, from the people that you know just from a day-to-day basis, your auntie's mother, senior brother, child, who might be in the same career field as you, or someone that you went to college with. And so the people that you know can be a very, very valuable source of information and of guidance for what you need to be doing in order to position yourself well in the particular field that you are. Now, for a lot of us, we're in different areas. There's healthcare, there's technology, there's law, there's business. And depending on which one you're in, it might be there might be different tools that you can use to position yourself better. And by knowing people in that area who've walked through the shoes that you have, you'd be able to take advantage of the lessons that they learned along their own paths, right? The next one that I found to be really helpful is LinkedIn. um, the job, when I was looking for a job, the job I had before this one, I was trying to move to a particular city. I would just go on LinkedIn and like cold email people, right? I'd identify people that were working in the same area that I was and in the city where I was trying to move, where I didn't have any network in that area. And this is something that becomes really tricky for those of us who maybe don't know anyone who works in the field that you're in. You don't have anyone that you can necessarily reach out to for guidance, for connections. Um, so people are very open, and if you're polite and you have something to offer, they're willing to give you a chance. I know for sure that I definitely took advantage of LinkedIn when I was looking for jobs from a networking perspective, where I would say, oh, I'm looking for an aerospace engineering job, specifically this particular analysis type. And I basically looked for people who did that work in the city where I was trying to move to. Now, that didn't necessarily directly translate into a job offer, but when I started working at my most recent job, I knew a lot of the people there just because I'd already stalked them on LinkedIn and had conversations with them. And they knew I was looking and actually took my resume up to manager. So, be sure to use LinkedIn as a resource. Um, Take advantage of whatever connections you have with people and try to build on them. Again, you have to be respectful. Don't take for granted that you're taking up people's time, but be sure to use LinkedIn as a resource. And the final one I've found to be conferences, right? The job I have right now, I have because I stumbled into someone at a conference who was able to connect me with the recruiter. There are a lot of professional conferences that don't necessarily, they're not going on now in person anymore because of just what's going on in the world, the pandemic. But when things return to normal, those are places where you can very easily meet people. And when you're at a conference and you meet someone who you think, might be a door to something that you're looking for, don't be too timid or too shy to walk up to them and have a conversation. Everybody is just human, and everybody has been where you are now, where you're trying to get something from someone. So, by all means, be friendly. Again, trying to find points of connection with the people that you're talking to, and you never know who you might be talking to or how they will be able to help you. So, when things open back up, if you have the option of going to conferences, professional conferences, and meeting people, definitely take advantage of that. Now, the second step of this is really your application process, right? So if you've used LinkedIn, you've used your networks, and you've gone to conferences and you've figured out, okay, this is exactly what I need to do to get a job. How do you actually go about applying for those positions in a way that will give you the maximum return that you can possibly get, right? And that's what I want to talk about next: application process, and then we'll talk about interviewing. So in terms of applying, again, there are a bunch of things that I, want you to focus on. The first being LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also really good for the application process, right? Now there are a lot of companies that are posting on LinkedIn. Their recruiters who are reaching out to people on LinkedIn specifically to ask them, do you want to work in this field? It's more common in certain fields than others, but if you're one of those whose background is in that field, or you're trying to get into that field, you need to be very attentive to what your LinkedIn profile is projecting, right? You need to have an up-to-date profile indicating what your work experience is, what your strengths are, and what you can offer to whoever your new employer is going to be. If you're looking for a job, there's an option on LinkedIn to turn on that I'm actually looking for work, so that recruiters can know to reach out to you and tell you about the positions that they have open. So if you're looking for work and you don't have that turned on now, what are you doing? Why you play yourself? Go on and turn it on now, so that the recruiters in your area can know specifically what you're looking for. And if you're open to different types of jobs, indicate on there, oh, I'm open to engineering roles, but I'm also open to consulting roles, or whatever the case might be. So indicate on this that recruiters are looking for people in the area where you are, your profile will pop up. You should also have a bio that summarizes and synthesizes who you are, what you bring to the table, and what you're about. Because if I'm looking at someone's profile and I'm looking for a particular spec, and I read your bio and it's exactly what I'm looking for, or even related, then I'm more likely to keep looking at your entire profile. So definitely spend time bringing your LinkedIn profile up to par. If you need pointers, look at other people who you consider successful in the area that you're going to, and try to copy some of the best practices that they have on theirs. The other thing about getting work is career fairs, right? Around this application process, the two most recent jobs I had before the one I have now came from me going to career fairs. Again, depending on what area you're in, this might be a big thing or maybe not. But I was an engineer, or depending on who you ask, I'm an engineer. And we have all these engineering conferences targeted towards women, targeted towards Black people who are engineers or Black engineering students, to try to increase the number of underrepresented minorities in engineering. And so it would have been really stupid for me to not try to go to those conferences, because companies come there to try to find people to hire. And so I took advantage of that, because guess what? Those of us who don't have as much representation in those fields don't have as many people or anybody in our networks that we can tap from to get the kind of guidance and direction and connection and networking that we would otherwise. So you can use those conferences or career fairs to stock in the the hole basically that you're already experiencing by being who you are. So if there are any such things, be sure to take advantage of them. And I know there's a pandemic going on now, but some of these conferences are still holding virtually. If you're in a university, they are still having career fairs virtually. So figure out when they are, how to log in, what you need to do. Sometimes you need to pay a little bit of money to get in, sometimes a lot. But if there's a way for you to pay, to even spend that money, consider it an investment in your future, right? Because if you spend $100, $150, registering for a career fair and end up getting a job that is going to pay you many tens of thousands of dollars a year, or 100,000, it was a good investment. So don't play yourself. Don't say I didn't tell you. All right, next. Obviously, in applying for a job, you need to spend time fixing up your resume and tailoring it to be what you want, what the recruiters are looking for. So if you see a job posting and they say, we're looking for someone who has good communication skills, who knows AWS, who has Scrum, and then you go on your resume and you don't tailor it to the job that you're applying for, you're a joker now. When they come, even the computer self will just screen out your resume and remove it. So if you're looking for a position and you have the relevant experience for that position, be sure to indicate it on your resume and tailor your resume to fit the position that you're looking for. A lot of us are qualified for different types of work, right? If I'm looking for a specific type of role, it doesn't make sense to take a resume that I use for a different role and use for the same position. And I think that this is the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things that you can do to really position yourself. It takes a bit more time and it's pretty annoying having to do a separate resume for each job that you apply to. But if there are specific roles that you want to target, trust me, it's worth the effort, right? Take time, look at the job description, see how the way that the job description is written tailors or matches the experience that you have, and then spend some time like crafting what you've written on your resume to sort of match that. And the final thing is company websites. A lot of people believe that there's no value in going on company websites and just submitting applications because nobody's looking at them. But again, I've had experiences where I literally submitted an application on the company website and ended up getting the job. So don't discount that as an option. And again, make sure to put your best foot forward, because there are a lot of people who are applying for jobs and a lot of people who need jobs in these corona times. So fix yourself, take your time, apply well, and do your best. Don't take anything for granted. So the final thing now to talk about is, okay, you've done all these things, you've worked on your resume, you've maximized your network, and you actually have an interview. What do? What should you be taking into account? And my biggest thing is prepare. Find someone that you trust that can kind of simulate an interview for you, right? And that person should be taking into account what the specific thing that the company that you're interviewing at cares about. Are there particular values that they want? Are there particular skills that the role is going to need? Make sure to emphasize on those in your preparation for the interview. Again, don't take things for granted. And then the one thing also that I think will really set you apart is taking time to connect with the person. All of us are human beings. All of us have things that we have in common. If you're talking to someone, spend some time trying to connect to the person. Sometimes if you meet someone, the person's like, oh, I'm from Ohio. Oh, really? I used to go to school in Ohio. So yeah, spend some time connecting with the person. Maybe you've visited the same city or you vacationed in the same place. most of the time, if you look, you can find something that you connect with people on. And it's really, really important to take advantage of those connections and build rapport with your interviewer, because that's what sets you apart from somebody else who also has the same skills as you. They'll be able to remember that girl who, cared about the same things that they did. So, again, that's my one final tip for the interview is take advantage of the connections, be personable, and just spend time to try to connect with your interviewer. So that's all I had for this video. I hope that if anybody is in the process of looking for a job or interviewing, I know it can be nerve-wracking and it can be very disappointing sometimes. Keep at it, do your best, and something is going to show up soon. So again, next week we'll be talking about how to negotiate your job, negotiate your compensation when you finally get the job that you're looking for. Stay tuned in. Please be sure to share this video with your friends and family, if you know anyone that this is relevant to. And let's keep looking out for each other in these strange, strange times. Take care, everyone. I'll see you guys next week.